What's up, guys? It's Lionel the Builder back again with another video, and today I'm going to be reacting to ThePrimagen, who is reacting to why great developers don't make content. It's a reaction to a reaction. It's a reactception. He's over there, I'm over here, and yeah.
I am,
and as a developer who makes content, I was about to watch this, and I said, wait a minute, let's make some content.
positive, 100% positive that I am somehow going to get ripped in this one, okay?
When I first learned to code, I wanted to share everything that I was learning, even pretty elementary stuff like using 2 for loops. I just felt compelled to try and teach that to someone following.
Dude, he's already talking about me, bro. Literally, I mean, because I learned how to code from YouTube, the moment I knew I was getting job, the moment I knew I was getting hired, I said, I'm about to be a YouTuber, man. Why not? So he said, why great developers don't make content? I already know I'm not the greatest developer. We all know that. But interesting. Let's continue, my bad.
Following in my footsteps, being self-taught and all. And I got a lot of criticism for it. This guy isn't a real developer. He's brand new. He's not doing it right. He doesn't have real world experience and all of that stuff. And my response was always, well, the great developers out there, they're not creating any content. They aren't teaching. Somebody's got to do it. I'm just filling the gaps here. And around that time, there were many people like.
There is definitely a word of caution though. Like if you're brand new, you may want to avoid trying to teach people. The big kind of weakness I think of new developers is that they try to teach something and then when someone asks a question they don't have any way to be able to answer that question. And then often because they're not enough of a developer yet, they kind of try to like wiggle their way through a question, which often gives like a really, people know that you have no idea what you're saying.
I don't do that. I just say, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. Anything that I do know, I'll explain. If you give me something I don't know, I don't care. I don't care about saying I don't know. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I don't know, man. I do not know.
And then it just makes people instantaneously distrust you. You know what I mean? Counter argument. If you're new, then you can teach in a more beginner-friendly way. Well, you don't know what you're teaching. That's the hard part. Yeah, for the love of God, just say I don't know. Yes, it's a secret to life. Just say I don't know. The problem is you don't know what you're teaching. Teaching is not.
Why people don't want to say that they don't know? I can't stand that, because you can always tell when somebody is just trying to avoid telling you that they don't know. And I don't know why are we so uncomfortable saying I don't know? I have no problem saying I don't know.
Not easy. Teaching is a very, 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 very difficult thing to do. And to do it well. Anyways, but I like the tenacity. I like that this guy went out and just tried to make something work. I never discredit that. I think that's good. I like that. I like to see it.
Like me, new developers on YouTube, new developers writing blogs, teaching all of the things that they were learning. But where were all the great developers? I mean, if you have so much experience, so much real world experience that can benefit so many people, why would you not be teaching it? Why do you not have your own channel? Why are you not creating your own courses and helping out?
There's actually quite a few really great people out there making a lot of really great content. There's a lot of really great blogs out there. So I don't know if I generally agree with the foundational argument that there's great developers, but they just don't do anything. Like Casey, yeah, Casey's a great example. Handmade Hero. He's been going wild on that one. He makes so much stuff. Teach does that. He's been doing it for like 5 years now. A lot of people have been doing really great courses on front-end masters for what, like the last decade? But there's a lot of really great content creators out there. And
I'm gonna throw out Fireship and Net Ninja, especially Net Ninja, man. I mean, Net Ninja's the guy, man. I really learned a lot from him. Even though he doesn't really do deep dives, I feel like his tutorials are very surface level, kind of. But hey, it'll give you a great introduction.
There was also the era of blogs. Blogs were like a big thing, and YouTube videos weren't really like a thing a lot of content creators did. I think there's definitely the age of blogs for a long time. So I'm not sure if that didn't exist. I think that always exists. Yeah, and before that, people would write books, right? Like books were the original blogs. Books were the ones that all the experts were writing all these nice things for you to be able to have a nice appendium of all of somebody's thoughts in one. Like a really great example is just Hacker's Delight. Like, look at this. Look at this thing. Chapter 2, manipulating rightmost bits. Some of the formulas in this section find application in later chapters. Following the formula. Boom. You can like just turn stuff off. Look at them. Just turn off the rightmost bit. How cool is that? Just hot dog that rightmost bit. Like, look at this. Look how good this is. Look at it. Anyways, so this is like the original blog. right? These books are so good. It just goes through this guy's journey of working on just this crazy machinery where you had almost no no instruction set, and you had extremely limited memory, and you had to do all that. I love this book, by the way. That was a great book.
Out the masses by broadcasting all that wisdom that's in your head. I mean, we were desperately seeking that kind of content. And as the years have gone by, I've found the answers. They happen to be: 1, many started programming before the rise of social media and YouTube, and they just have no interest in it. 2, they have a
Books.
smart mind, but they freeze up on camera or they can't communicate well. But I think there's a bigger reason, one that I want to talk about in this video. And before we get to that, I have to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Brilliant.
Go.
Brilliant.org is a great
Brilliant.
way to learn math, logic, and computer science.
By the way, I've noticed something, that Brilliant is in like every last ad I've ever seen in my lifetime. They have gone everywhere at all times in all places.
Science interactively. Brilliant is fun, practical, and has thousands of lessons from basic to advanced topics from computer science and programming, algorithms, Python, AI, logic, and other tools to help you
Is that Scratch right there? Is this like Scratch? That's kind of neat.
level up your skills or keep those skills sharp. And it's built for busy people like me and you. Like I said, you can master big concepts in as little as 15 minutes a day. Maybe you want to dive deeper into large language models, neural networks, big data, or just learning the basics of Python, building programs on day one with a built-in drag and drop editor. Today, I continued on with algorithms and data structures and spent 10 minutes learning about Big O notation and how it describes the complexity of code using algebraic terms. And like I said, Brilliant can help you solidify those AI and coding skills and concepts that apply across different fields. And you can get started today for free for 30 days by using the link below, and the first 200 to sign up
Link
using the
above for
link
me.
will get 20% off an annual subscription.
there.
That link is brilliant.org/Travis Media. Now back to the video.
Why are we watching ads? Because if I'm watching someone's video and they have an ad in it, why would I not watch it? Okay, first off, it makes their sponsor very, very happy. It makes them happy. It supports the video. Why would you not do that? Okay, this is...
I always skip those during reactions. That's why I was sitting there like, are we really watching? That's funny.
This is free range, okay? Because now a bunch of people are going to go, and you know what? They're going to use this, Travis Media. Go to brilliant.org/Travis Media to get 15% off, or whatever the sales pitch was, to get a little extra bonus using that one.
Travis
There you go.
Media. Now back to the video. And as the years have gone by, I've found the answers. They happen to be: 1, many started programming before the rise of social media and YouTube, and they just have no interest in it. 2, they have a smart mind, but they freeze up on camera or they can't communicate well. But I think a bigger reason is that they just have other interests. Interests that we have completely forgotten how to enjoy. And here's the thing, many of us have made...
Is this a reference to touching grass? If that's where this is going, I don't know if this is like really appropriate. This is a family-friendly stream. I can't be out here touching grass and having hobbies and playing guitar, okay? It's just not possible. Ryan, link that in a moment.
software development our identity. It's who we are. It's what we work on. It's what we breathe. It's what we do in our free time. We work a dev job. We tweet about coding. We create content about code. We meet up with our coding buddies. We go to coding events. We live.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big difference, back in the day is a lot of those people like John Carmack, they would go into the office around 6 a.m. or whatever time, and then they would leave the office at like, say, about 5 a.m. the next day. And so, like, they didn't obviously go to meetups or anything else. They would just work for 24 hours straight and then crash.
Live it every second of every.
Funny story, Netflix sent over an engineer. I forgot his name. I want to say his name was Akshay. They sent over, I want to say it was Akshay. They sent over someone to help out with like a VR kind of integration with Netflix. And it was to go work with John Carmack and go do that. And by the end, as the person left over the weekend, because they did a whole weekend of programming, he left. And as he was leaving, he heard the receptionist say, which is like John Carmack's assistant, say, "John, I think you broke the Netflix engineer." He was in shambles, just like stayed up for 48 hours straight trying to program something. Couldn't handle it. John Carmack, still a beast as CTO of Virtual Land, just crushing it and just couldn't handle the intensity.
Every day. And we're scared to take a couple weeks off because we might lose the skill. But the experienced developers have found that there just so happens to be more life out there. They put in their effort at work, but they're really looking forward to biking on the weekend, or smoking meats, or taking trips, or playing music. In other words, they have a life outside of coding. They've
see that happening with the good developer, but if you're like trying to break in, you kind of have to go into monk mode with this shit. You know, I really feel like you can't, or I mean you can, but it's just gonna take longer. The more hobbies that you have, the more stuff that you don't like give up to focus on coding. If you do not have a job yet, and if you don't know how to code yet, then you know you're just making yourself take longer. And it's a huge rat race right now with everybody trying, like a bunch of people trying to get hired into positions. I mean, first you got to learn the skills. And if you notice, like, I don't really teach a lot of how to code because I'm still perfecting my skill myself before I do that. But I do teach something that I am really good at, and that is networking. And that's getting out physically into the community and doing things. And so that's a hobby of mine, but it's still coding related because I'm usually at like either a coding meetup or doing an event to do with some type of networking where it's always like connections and clients, and I'm introducing myself as a developer and stuff like that. And so I could see the really, really good ones, the pros who are locked in to their jobs and have built plenty of different projects and stuff like that. Maybe I could see them not really wanting to spend, how long does this take? Oh, YouTube probably takes like 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours a day. You know, if you're gonna do it and if you get like addicted to it, whatever day that you do decide to make a video, it's probably gonna take like an hour of recording, an hour of editing. You know, even if you're like me with the minimal edits, you still gotta like change the audio, add subtitles and music and stuff like that. And so yeah, I could see that definitely being a truth.
They've learned to make a break in what they do and who they are. The first corporate dev job that I took, there was a senior developer there, and he was really skilled. A great developer. Could do anything, could explain anything, but I could never get him fired up to talk about development. He was always talking about his baseball team, and the games that he was going to, and the hobbies that he was into, and the trips that he had planned. And I'm all like, what do you think about ES6 and all?
Classic millennial behavior. I'm not sure if I really agree with this take. And what I mean by that is that, I mean, there's a certain subset of work in which you don't have to up-level your skills ever again, and you can be really good at it. And you just don't need to keep on doing something. But there's also some level of work and certain problems that you have to continuously learn to stay even remotely close to being on top of. And so I'm not sure if there's a difference here. And some people aren't personal enthusiasts about programming. Some people just aren't. That's just not them. And that's like totally cool. Like, I don't think someone has to program after hours. If you have a job, you like the job, you can do the job efficiently, and you don't want to do anything after hours, I don't see why that would be a requirement. The only danger, of course, is that that might be the job you have forever. Because at some point it becomes, as time goes on, it can just become harder and harder and harder to find something else, because you become more and more kind of like siloed niche in some sense. Like, I'm sure if Bisco was here, he would talk all about the build master of the synergy language at Computers Unlimited, right? Probably amazing life. But you also just become this like really, you know who I'm talking about, Jason, at one point. And it's like, that's like such a niche role that you can't really transfer those skills almost anywhere. I have a story. I'm sure you have a story. That's why I should see you when I drive up to Bozeman. I should stop by and say hi.
All that stuff. And he would be like, I don't know, I've never even heard of it. And since then, I've contrasted myself, a person who could code all day and talk about it all night, to the senior devs and tech leads and managers that I've worked with that could cut off coding completely when needed to pursue other interests in their evenings and weekends and days off. They would be at kids' baseball games, or they'd be excited about a new entertainment system install, or powerlifting, or reading history books. In fact, there was a point in time.
You know, there is definitely this problem with men and the Roman history. Roman-based history is like a real thing. It just is. I don't know what it is. When I was in Brazil hanging out with Terceau, the CEO Glauber, there was at least 8 separate times that we broke down a problem into some reference to Rome, from what the Roman soldiers signed on their shields to all sorts, like to various battles. It was great.
Time where people had nothing else to talk to me about. They would see me and they would start this small talk on how's your coding going? Or people that code could only talk to me about the latest coding technology. There was no other life outside of that. I either had much to say about coding or little to say about anything else. In these days, I have to talk to people outside of work about coding. But what's the point in me saying all of this? Am I gonna stop doing this? Of course not. I love this stuff. But again, there's a lesson to be learned here. There's a reason these developers can do this job for 30 to 40 years while you're getting burned out at 5. By way of analogy, when you work out and you follow some particular routine, there's usually
That's a good point. Burnout is real, and I have had those nights in shoot. It lasts for days sometimes where you're just like, man, what am I doing? Did I make the right decision here? And that does usually come from going too hard and not getting rest. And some OGs have hopped in my comments too when I've made those videos, the day in the life videos where I express my frustration and just trying to keep it real and tell the juniors out there what it's really like. They're like, dude, don't forget to rest. Don't forget to do other things. And yeah, I think that he's definitely almost something. I'm agreeing with that point there, that it is good to, like, I mean, of course, go outside, go for walks and things like that, but having another hobby too. Like, I still play the drums. I still play a little bit of video games. I started playing video games again after quitting for like 4 days. I just got so bored that one day, and I just did not feel like working. Didn't feel like coding. I'm like, well, damn, what am I gonna do? I can't just only code sometimes. So you definitely need other hobbies as well, and I think that that will lengthen your time as a developer and increase your mental and everything like that. It's very, very much the truth there.
usually every 6 weeks or so, a week.
I do want to throw out that, I'm at 19 years. I think it probably changes from person to person. Like, if I'm really real, I'm probably closer to 17 years because those first couple years were filled with me failing out of college and all those kind of things. I mean, my general big problem with this is that you're just trading one hobby for another. Like, whatever you like, I mean, we live in such a world where we get the benefit and the opportunity to even have hobbies, which is pretty wild. And so we get this amazing ability to do that. And so if you like playing guitar, you can just talk about playing guitar and play guitar. Like, there's nothing about that you can't do both. You can totally, like, there's people that just love coding and coding an incredible amount of time, but also play guitar. Like, Judo is in here. He does judo all the time and used to do guitars a whole bunch. Shake it up like once a decade. Yeah, I have kind of a general rule of thumb, whereas I will spend like a half decade or a decade doing one activity really, really well. I did funny story. I did table tennis for about 6 years really intensely, and even played some people that qualified I was running in the circle of playing with people who qualified to try out for the Olympics. That was the level of table tennis I got to. I didn't get to try out for the Olympics, but I got to play against and be the practice person for people at that level. And it was just so much fun. Like, I was way too into table tennis. Okay, I had my own paddle. I was really into it. I had like all the right moves. I did handshake hold. I did not do pick. Okay, I was not about the pick. I was about the handshake. And man, it was just like I had everything into it. And then I just decided to be really into, you're like that dude with the bowling ball. Yeah, and then I decided that I wanted to do coding instead. And then I just moved on to coding. And then I just haven't stopped. And I've been doing it for like 10 years, like outside of work, extra time. And I've just really enjoyed it. And I can't stop liking it because it's just something I really want to do. So it's like, to me, it's what makes something interesting is somebody who is passionate about something. For me, I don't really care about the topic we talk about. I want to hear somebody who's excited about it, like who just wants to be in it. And did I ever try badminton? No, I have not like played it at any level, but I just want to see like that. That's it. I'm really passionate about gambling. Okay, I probably don't want to hear about the gambling part of things, but you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't really care if the person only talks about coding, or if they only talk about baseball, or if they only talk about something. Like that doesn't really like affect my thinking about it. I just want to see someone that's excited, because it's this weird thing that happens when someone's excited about something. I become excited about something. And maybe that's because I have a lot of those little reflector neurons in the brain that make you like reflect the person you're near. But it's just when I'm near people that are excited, I'm just all up in it. You know what I mean? The mirror neurons, yeah, the little worm brains. I don't know what it is. I just get so pumped up. It's called being a human. Dude, I'm just such a human. I am not a lizard. I'm like totally a human.
Week that you take off, it's called deloading. And that gives your body a chance to rest.
By the way, boys, don't be deloading just anywhere, okay? I just want you to know, okay? It's a real thing. Careful. Okay, let's back it up.
While you're getting burned out at 5. By way of analogy, when you work out and you follow some particular routine, there's usually every 6 weeks or so a week that you take off. It's called deloading. And that gives your body a chance to rest, to recover from weeks of heavy lifting. But you know what? When you come back that week after to resume that routine, you find pull-ups easier and your body more performant because you've given it proper rest. Likewise, if we take 2 weeks off of programming, we don't forget it. In fact, we come back with a much clearer head and a greater passion for it. And we know that's true because taking a 20-minute walk around lunchtime usually helps you solve the conundrum that you were stuck on that morning. So, I have 3 suggestions for you today. Number 1, what is something that you
I do want to kind of counter. I mean, I like what the guy's cooking. I like the cooking. I do think that, like for me, when the weekends start, because I have my kiddos, like I'm pretty serious about trying to turn off all forms of work. I know obviously I break the rules every now and then, like this last week because I was trying to get some things out. I broke those rules and yeah, I worked on the weekend. But typically I don't ever do any form of work or thinking as much as I can on the weekends and try to just maximize my time with my kids and my wife. Also, when I'm done working, after usually right around like 10 hours of trying to do something, I try to go over and just be with my kids and just try to not think about programming. And so it's not that I am, how do I say this? When I'm doing a thing, I try to do the thing. Does that make sense? A lot of time.
Yeah, he's basically saying live in the moment, whatever you're doing. And while I don't take full days off. I haven't done that in a while. Not working at all for the full day, but of course I definitely spend time with my family every day and just try and live in the moment when I'm with them, not be thinking about like how to fix the problem that I'm solving, that I'm working on, that I'm stuck on.
Times people try to do something, but they do it so half-assed. They're doing it, but then they go on Twitter and they tweet for a little bit, then they go back, and then they watch a YouTube video, then they have like a podcast playing on the side, so they're working for like 20 minutes, and then they look over, and they're kind of locked in then to the podcast for a little while, and then they go back in, they kind of lock in here, and they're kind of like, you're kind of just like consuming at all angles and all different things, where it's just like, I don't want to do that. Like a lot of times when I'm trying to do something, I really try to do the thing. And so there's like times where I try to break that off, right? There's like simple work where I can kind of have something playing on the side, which I like to do every now and then. But when I'm trying to do something, I try to do that one thing really well. And so when I'm with my kids, I try not to get distracted and just try to do the whole ass time with my kids. And then when I'm doing work, I'm trying to do the whole ass thing when I'm doing work. And then when I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of just in this kind of investigation phase, I'm kind of just doing this or that, then I kind of let myself relax and maybe I have a podcast playing or watch like TJ say something stupid and say a bunch of stupid stuff while I'm just kind of doing some basic research, right? I try to go through all the different ones, but I don't know. So what I'm trying to say here with this is that I don't.
Is it weird that this is making me excited about working for the day? I'm like, man, I'm gonna try that because I normally definitely multitask. Like while things are compiling, I'm not just sitting here looking at nothing. I'll check YouTube, reply to comments, check Discord, and then go back to what I was doing. And sometimes it does make it a little harder for you to get back into what you were doing when you do take those little breaks. If something's installing or in between tasks, if I'm just like, man, I need a little break. I'm trying to just go hard for like a couple hours or so.
Don't think that burnout, he says this is why you get burnt out at 5 years. I do not believe burnout has any correlation with hours doing something. I do not believe there's anything. I do not think if this was a percentage chance of burnout and this is time in a week spending doing something, I do not believe this curve exists. I do not believe this curve exists. I don't believe this curve exists. I don't believe any of those curves exist. Because I think what it should be is time spent doing something that you like, that you greatly dislike, time spent doing something that's excessively unrewarding. And what I mean by that is that if you liked playing basketball and you practiced for a bit of that time. Then you played games, and then you went back and did practice, and then you watched film about it. You probably wouldn't get burnt out. But if all you ever did was just shoot free throws and nothing but free throws, you would get burnt out. It would just become such a chore because there's no reward to it at all. There's no ending to it that makes you something good. Free throws. You know what a free throw is, right? Free throw looks something like this, right? You have your key right here. That's definitely a dick. I definitely just drew a dick. I did not mean to draw a dick, but this was supposed to be a 3D model of a basketball hoop, which I thought was a pretty good basketball hoop, but that is definitely a dick here. I'm going to try to undick that one. There we go. We just undicked it. Nah, we still a dick. All right. So you stand like right here, right? And you shoot a basket. You just practice that. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, you gotta lead it. Okay, if you've already actually drew a dick, you just go for it. Okay. Is this still a family stream? Yes. How do you think families are created?
Did y'all see that episode of Silicon Valley? That definitely just reminded me of that. He's definitely one of them.
So for me, it's not about hours worked. I think hours worked and percentage of burnout have nothing to do with each other. I think it has everything to do with the thing you're doing and being able to derive like satisfaction and results from it. Now, obviously, I think that there is a point where that breaks down. I think we can all say that there's an edge condition that breaks down where maybe if that time is like 90 hours a week, every week, and even if you enjoy it, maybe then you can actually correlate some level of burnout that does exist, right? Just because you're not getting good sleep, you're not taking good care of yourself, you're not having all of these other things going on in life to be successful, which is totally reasonable then because you're not taking care of your body, which if you don't take care of your body, you don't take care of your soul. You feel horrible, right? Hylomorphic. We're 2 in 1, people. You're more than just a meat bag, okay? So you...
I always thought that was kind of, not bullshit, but I thought that I was like a superhuman and I could do anything. You know, I was like, I'm just gonna work. Nah, bro. Y'all see the videos where I talk about that, how you got to get your health right. You have to eat right. You can't be eating junk food. You can't be... I used to be like smoking and drinking and trying to code. And no, sir. Doesn't work. Brain fog. Can't think straight. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work out. You have to like fix your whole life and become like a monk to do your best. I mean, it's all correlated to your brain's performance. And you could definitely feel it. You could feel the difference in your thinking if you're like a little twisted, trying to solve a problem, or you know, if you didn't get enough sleep for the past couple days, you know, because you're trying to maximize efficiency and work, like use your hours to just work more and more to get more stuff done, whatever your goal is that you're working on at the time. It's crazy how like, I mean, it's not really crazy, it's really common sense that say you're gonna code for 20 hours, and so you only slept for 4 hours. Those last like 6 hours are really worth 1 hour. Whereas if you would have just went to sleep, your hours are more powerful when you have enough sleep, is what I'm trying to say.
So you can't just discredit your meat bag because your brain goes to shit. You can't just only focus on your brain and not focus on your body. You feel horrible. If you only focus on your body and never focus on your brain, you're just one of those big dumb guys walking around getting angry all the time, injecting that tren in you or whatever the hell these testosterone stimulants are, and you get all freaked out, you got veins popping everywhere. You don't want to be either of those two things. Take care of your body, take care of your mind. Skill issue, time management, classic.
Balance. It's about balance.
Love to do
All right, let's do 3 takeaways. Let's go.
Number 1, what is something that you loved to do previously but have since stopped doing? Maybe you used to take your Trek mountain bike and hit the single track every weekend or on random evenings. Then you had kids and you sold it. Sounds like my story. But now you actually...
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I have kids, okay? I'm not allowed to go do some 4-hour activity, okay? I got children. I got to hang out with the children, okay? Limited time.
They have time for it if you stop coding for a bit and get back into it. Think about those things that you used to do, things that excited you, and rekindle that again. Number 2, if you find that your mind is always on coding, then you either need to start reading books or you need to start reading wider. C.S. Lewis once said, to make a contrast with someone who is not a reader, we realize it best when we talk to an unliterary friend. He may be full of goodness and good sense, but he inhabits a tiny world. In it, we should be suffocated. The man who is content to be only himself, and therefore less, is in prison. Do you inhabit a tiny little world of coding only? We actually just started this.
Damn, coming out with that C.S. Lewis talk. She. I think that might be a slight stretch on what C.S. Lewis was stating there. I think what C.S. Lewis was stating is a man who does no type of reading. Someone who only exhibits a world to please themselves. Right. There's another phrase that goes on that's like, a man wrapped up in himself makes a very small package indeed. I forget who said that, but I've heard that once. And so it's like if all you do is exist to please yourself, then yes, you created a very small and suffocating world. But the thing is I don't agree with the takeaway, but I love the C.S. Lewis quote. I think you should be trying to grow and become smarter, and you can pick something to become very vertical at, and that's good. C.S. Lewis was the inventor of computer science. That's why his name is C.S., okay? Was it Chesterton? Probably. That sounds like a very Chesterton phrase. I mean, I like what he has to say. Like, I do think that there is limits, which is that if all you ever code and all you ever think about is one small area, I think that you often find yourself becoming that person. You never actually explore outside of it. I do think there's a lot to that is really, really good, which is you should explore concepts and things that are vastly outside of what you're comfortable with so that you expand your area. What's the quote about old men planting trees? What about that fence?
This new book in the Imposter Devs community called The Joy of X, a guided tour of math from 1 to infinity, to try and rekindle that love for math. And not necessarily for programming, but just in general, as many of us haven't considered these concepts since high school. And number 3, to become an even better programmer, you need time off. You need time away from it on a regular basis. If you work for a company, then you should be maxing out your PTO. And if you have unlimited PTO, then just quit going to work. Just kidding. That time off will, as strange as it sounds, make you a much better programmer and a more fun person to talk to overall. If you found this video helpful,
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I had time off, you know what I did? Programmed, baby. Okay. You get judged for taking time off? Not always. It depends on the job. Bill.
Man, it was awesome. I'm gonna link this in the description if y'all want to watch it without my take. But yeah, that was awesome, man. Shout out to ThePrimagen. Shout out to what is his name? Does he have his in here? He didn't put. Oh, here it is. Review video.
When I first learned to code, I wanted to share everything that I was learning, even pretty.
I gave him a subscribe. Click the bell on him. And if y'all made it to the end, please give me a subscribe and a bell. I'm Lano the Builder. I'll see you next time. Peace.